Hello, all you tiny, itty-bitty people that live within the confines of my computer. My name is Finn, and today we're having a conversation about AI. There's a lot of back and forth online, negative, positive, culture wars at this point. It's a bit rough when you bring it up, because it's either somebody who's very, very against it or very, very for it. And I see online that there's not a whole lot of people who have a pros and cons list. You either love it or you hate it. And I think most of that comes from people using it for art, people using it for music, people using it for physical, like art pieces and drawings and whatnot. And then people using it to create videos and making it into a thing that feels super fake, right? And there's a lot of issues there. And then a lot of the times when people are being positive about it, that's all they really talk about is that stuff. They're only talking about that. And I'm going to get it out of the way immediately. I hate generative AI if you're using it for like audio or videos, or if you're using it for quote unquote art pieces. I think that's stupid. I think that's really gross. I think that's really like feeding into a certain style of growth for humans that I think is very negative. But also, to toss the idea of artificial intelligence out entirely is a little crazy to me, considering the ways that it is helpful, for example, in medical fields. Because there's like the ability to have algorithms that we couldn't understand and focus on beforehand, or at least not to the same extent. Just being able to like detect abnormalities and whatnot, and point us in the right direction for things like cancer. So I think with that, it's super helpful. It's super important. It's super able to be a good thing for us, alongside just how well it can work with algorithms and statistics and analyzing data. I think that stuff is really cool. I think that stuff is really neat. I think the fact that it can do that is great. I think a big issue with it being able to do all of that is that everybody can just always use it. And, you know, it's a little scary that something so forward with data and forward with productivity is just kind of allowed for everybody to have. It's a little scary. And then those people typically aren't using it for a medical thing or a data analysis thing. They're using it for generating videos and images and whatnot. And typically they're not exactly doing that in a way that I think is in any way positive. AI bros online are a little gross. They're a little gross. Rather it being images being generated that are pretty much just to be rude to other people, to dog on other people's opinions. It's kind of gross. And then, like, spreading misinformation happens a lot currently. Misinformation being spread online is not new. That's been around since the beginning of the internet. You know, it's going to be around forever, sadly. But being able to generate images and videos that look so realistic has added to that in a way that is super fucking gross. And seeing videos and whatnot about people, like seeing videos and images of real humans doing or saying things that they've never done or said is terrifying. I saw a video the other day that I thought was real until I looked into it, where it was, what's the actor? It was Seth Rogen. It was Seth Rogen saying slurs, racial slurs to, I want to say, Jamie Foxx. And I thought it was real. I thought it was like a real thing. It wasn't, but it looked very real and it sounded very real, and the person who posted it on Reddit didn't exactly have any sort of tags or anything to say that it was fake. And, you know, that's a little crazy that that's a thing that people can just do. We as a society are just like down with that, which is a little crazy to me, a little insane. And it's kind of gross to me. It's kind of scary. I think it's very freaky, the idea that for no money and or some, not that it matters too much, just period, I can make an image or a video of anybody doing anything and it's fine. I'm allowed to do that. That's something that I'm allowed to do that. I can make a video of a politician saying something horrid, and that's fine. I'm allowed to do that. I can use AI to generate an image of a celebrity naked, throw it on the internet. That's something I'm just allowed to do. That's insane and gross. So I've touched on the only things I think that are positive, which are the data analysis and the ability to track like statistics and whatnot, and then algorithms and the stuff used for like the medical field. And that's it. Everything else that has to do with AI is kind of gross. I think generated like images and videos are one of, if not the worst things currently going on the internet, alongside AI that generates wording and generates reactions and generates answers to questions and whatnot, because it's so wrong so often. Like ChatGPT, for example, you will ask it a question, it'll give you an answer, and that answer will be just objectively false. Or there will be a curated answer based on your history with it, so it tries to feed you the information you want to hear instead of the actual fact, which is kind of scary because that's so many more people being misinformed and having opinions or objections that they have told to them as truth when there's not a whole lot of truth to them. Or you have something like Grok that over and over gets to the point of being so far to the right in what it wants to say and what it wants to react to and the ways that it responds to people, that it gets away from stating a fact and more so reinforcing ideals of an individual or a group of individuals without actually doing anything to make that more factual or realistic, which is really gross. And I've noticed a pattern that a lot of people on the internet have noticed, which is that AI bros are typically generating images and paragraphs and videos of things happening because they're trying to corroborate their own, what's the term here? They're trying to reinforce their ideal, and they're using AI due to the fact that they don't have real things to push it. They don't have a real thing that reinforces it. They don't have a real image of something happening, so they generate it. They don't have a real video of this person they hate doing something, so they use AI. They don't have an actual statistic about this minority that they hate, so they use AI to make one. And it's really fucking gross. It's really gross. It's really, like, I think immoral that that's a thing that we can do. And there's not a whole lot of repercussions for it, really. A lot of spaces on the internet will try to do something about it, but there's not a whole lot they can do. It's really fucking gross, I think. It's really fucking gross. There was an AI-generated phone call that was done like a year ago that was a call between Mr. Beast and some like producer that he had or whatever, and it was kind of fucking crazy because myself and many others thought it was real, and that it wasn't, which is terrifying. That someone with such a humongous following, hundreds of millions of people, watch and consume everything that guy does, and then here's a video of him talking to somebody and saying some really fucked up stuff, and it wasn't real. Speaking of Mr. Beast, AI generated stuff on YouTube. Who baby? As somebody who's been consuming YouTube since I was like 2 years old and actively making things since I was 7, I have a lot of connections, not like business-wise, but like emotionally to this website, to this app, to the people on it. And I love making stuff here. I love making stuff here, and I love consuming stuff here. But the amount of AI-generated videos, AI-generated thumbnails, AI-generated channels entirely is insane. It is insane, it's crazy, and it's fucked. And then, if you're into generative AI, right? I am not. I think it's horrid and disgusting. But if you are, those channels are still taking away from the actual people who put effort and time and love into the stuff they make. And those channels are taking away watch time, they're taking away views, they're taking away subs, they're taking away opportunities. And I think that's really fucking gross. I think that sucks. And I wish there was anything at all I could do to help with that. I think it's kind of crazy. And then a channel like a Mr. Beast will make a plugin that produces AI-generated thumbnails, which I think is really fucking disgusting. If you look at my channel, most of my thumbnails are just me. There's not a whole lot. Every once in a while, there's an image or a small edit or whatever, but typically it's just me. And there were a couple times on other channels where I would freak out and go, I need a thumbnail, or this isn't going to work. So I'd make a thumbnail. And then if you go to any period of YouTube, whether it be the 2000s, the 2010s, early 2020s now, there's always been like a genre per like year or so of like, this is what the thumbnails are, right? There was reaction faces, there was big words on screen, the red circle stuff, all sorts of different types of clickbait, and we're getting into a new era where it's fun crafted stuff, which is awesome and fun. There's stuff like A Moist Critical, where it's just kind of a screenshot. Stuff like me, where it's just a face. And then a lot of AI-generated images and AI-generated, like, texts and whatnot. Which is kind of crazy. Kind of crazy that is just a thing. And YouTube's not the only place with that. I mean, if you go to Twitter, you go to Reddit, you go to whatever. There's stuff on LinkedIn. I need a job. Here's an AI-generated image. Stuff like that, and it's kind of crazy. The store that I started working at, every once in a while, there's like a big lottery section, like a bunch of scratch tickets and stuff, and most of the images are just the regular stuff, advertising. And then there's one that is Scrooge, but it's AI generated, and you can tell. And anytime it's on the screen, I cover it. I don't care. I'm not leaving it there. Fuck that. Because I think that's gross. I hate generative AI. I hate the uses of it in media. The advertisement companies that have been doing it. Coke did it for a while. I feel like there was like OpenAI has their own advertisements and ads that come on, like YouTube and Twitter and whatnot, and I think that's gross. It's just, it costs a lot of people like jobs when it comes to that sort of stuff, because like advertisement as a whole is one of the biggest industries on the planet, and companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars probably billions, honestly, on advertising, on showing off whatever their product is or their service is. And personally, I'm not huge on the advertisement business as a whole, but then you throw in them taking away those advertisement jobs and those creative jobs and those abilities to pull actors in or pull artists in. And I think it's really fucking gross to take all of that away from people. Similarly with the YouTube stuff, there are people whose entire jobs is to make thumbnails. There are people who get paid, and their career at that point is to draw something or open Photoshop or whatever and make a thumbnail. And to have a plugin that just makes them out of AI and takes away those opportunities for people is pretty fucking gross to me. That's just my opinion. I'm allowed to think that the same way you're allowed to think the opposite. And we can argue about it, that's fine. We can have a conversation and like a talk and a dialogue, but I disagree. I just think that's gross. And then AI being used for advertisements online, specifically the AI girlfriend ads that everybody gets. Sometimes it's a picture of Gwen Tennyson, specifically versions of her that are like 12, or it'll be Lola Loud, who is a child, and it's like, hey big boy, and it's like, that's gross. Why is that allowed to be advertised? YouTubers can't say fuck, but AI generated 16-year-old, you wanna fucking look at that? It's pretty gross to me. It's pretty gross. It's pretty... It feels super, like, supportive of consumerism and capitalism. It feels very anti-person. It feels very anti-individual. It feels so, like the use of generative AI, period, to me, feels like almost immoral. It's so gross. I hate it. Fuck. And then AI has been used for very pedophilic things, and the abilities to get, like, images of children and whatnot, and that's really fucking gross. Or taking a, like, similar to the AI, like, role play things, where it's like, you can just do and say whatever the fuck you want to those things. That's crazy. You wanna talk with an AI about raping? You can. Oh, you can. It's kind of fucking gross. And then AI can be used for, like, making images and videos of people doing adult things, which is kind of gross. Like, a year and a half ago, I saw it was like I guess a GIF of, I'm not going to say the person's name, but it was a very, very popular wrestler. And they generated I think it was like 3 or 6 seconds or something like that. And it was just a video of her with no top, and it wasn't real. And there's no way in hell she gave permission for that. The video's, luckily, as far as I know, not out there. It's obviously still out there somewhere, but, like, not on Reddit where I saw it. And the fact that that's a thing that you can do is super fucked and really gross. I'm going to cut this here, but I want to express that even though it feels very alone, it feels like we're very unable to do anything effectful or eventful or important. And like we're not able to properly change anything. But I want to point out that you can by communicating about it, by talking about it, by openly expressing that you aren't a fan, that you're not interested in this being a big thing, and you're not interested in these, not interested in these tactics by these companies, and that you're not interested in people having access to this generative ability. And I don't mean let companies have it and people not, people as in humanity. I don't think we should have generative AI. And you're able to express that like I am now. Communicate about it. Post it on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Talk about it here on YouTube. Talk about it on Twitch. Talk about it on Reddit, wherever. And I want to express, because I feel like it's very, very important to communicate that sort of thing with each other. Not only like just as a community here, but also as a community online, as a community on this channel, as a community on Discord and Reddit. Whether it be 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, 500,000 people, communicating is important. And talking about something gets eyes on it and pulls people to it. And that's what is, like, word of mouth is such a big deal. And I feel like if we can make any sort of difference about it, it's going to be with communicating. I don't think there's anything we can do about it just moping about it ourselves, by ourselves alone. I don't think there's anything we can do about it monetarily, and I don't think there's a whole lot we can do about it as one single person. But as a community, as a group, I feel like we can do a whole lot to push that stuff in the right direction. It feels like something that we are not obligated to do, but something that I think we should do. It's a statement that fits with a lot, and fits with a lot of things, personally, politically, socially, whatever. And that's that if you disagree with something, and it's not harming someone, right? Like, if you disagree with somebody based on, like, oh, this person's brown, so I don't like them, fuck you, that's not cool. But, like, if there's something like the generative AI, or if you have issue with, like, this law, or whatever the fuck, I think there's not a whole lot you can do about it as one person. Period. There's not a whole lot you can do. And harming somebody, getting into a fight, whatever, isn't going to be helpful. The thing that I think you should do, and that we as people should do, is communicate about it. Use that ability. Use that skill that we all have, whether you're good at it or not. Talking is talking. And the more voices that we have as a community, the better. There's not a whole lot of laws on AIs just yet. Hopefully there will be. There's not too many organizations out there that are big enough to do a whole lot. But the internet's huge. Billions of people are on the internet. Hundreds of thousands of accounts, millions of them. So many words are put online every single day. So many words are put online. So many posts on Twitter, so many posts on Instagram, so many posts on Facebook, so many posts on Reddit, so many posts on YouTube. Use that voice, use that ability, because if you post something like this and 16 million people see it, that's awesome. But if only 20 people see it, that's good too. That's still 20 more people. That's still 40 ears and 40 eyes seeing and listening to what you're talking about. Use your voice. Be honest, be genuine, be passionate, and talk about that stuff. Thank you guys so much for your time, for your support. I appreciate you guys. I will see you next time I turn on this little computer right here. If you're interested in communicating with me more, or members of the channel, members of this small community, there's a Discord in the description. Please and thank you. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.